Good evening. We'll be starting momentarily. We're just letting everyone in the room to make sure we have everyone here that is supposed to be present.
Whenever you're ready, madam.
Good evening. I would now like to call this meeting to order. Thank you all tonight for being here with us. We're going to get this meeting started now since we have everyone here. City of New Haven meeting agenda, Youth Committee. Wednesday, February 2nd, 2022, 6 p.m. Meeting can be viewed on Board of Alders YouTube channel. Board of Alders notice, New Haven. The Youth and Youth Services Committee of the New Haven Board of Alders will meet at 6 p.m. on Wednesday, February 2nd, 2022 via video conference at the link provided, and by audio at 929-205-6099 or 301-715-8592. Enter webinar ID 986-1045-4879 and enter audio passcode 559-0704-341. We are here to meet with the City Youth and Recreation Department to discuss Youth Connect and Youth at Work. Per order, Honorable Kimberly R. Edwards, Chair, attest, Honorable Michael Smart, City Town Clerk. For a disability-related accommodation, please call 203-946-7833 voice or 203-946-8255 8582 TTY prior to the meeting. Since the meeting is remote, participation by a quorum of members is expressly prohibited at the physical location and will not be present. However, any member of the public may request in writing a physical location and any electronic equipment necessary to attend the meeting in real time, no later than 24 hours prior to the meeting. Said individual shall have the same opportunities to provide comment or otherwise participate in the meeting as would be afforded if the meeting was held in person, with the following exception. Under law, if such person loses the ability to participate because of an interruption, failure, or degradation of such person's connection to the meeting by electronic equipment, it is not required to adjourn or postpone the meeting. Thank you all. All right, so we're going to begin tonight. We're going to start with the introduction of our committee members. I'm going to introduce myself. My name is Alder Kimberly Edwards of Ward 19, and I am chair of the Youth and Youth Services Committee. I'd like to pass it on to the vice chair, and after our vice chair speaks, I would like the rest of the committee members to introduce themselves.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I am the vice chair of the committee, Alder Walker Myers from Ward 23.
Hi, I'm Alder Sal Punzo from Ward 17.
Alder Honda Smith, Ward 30.
Alder Darrell Brackeen, Ward 26.
Alder Rodriguez, we didn't hear you.
My apologies, Alder Carmen Rodriguez, Ward 6.
Thank you. I would also like to acknowledge our third officer, Alder Salvatore DeCola and Alder Cyrus Miller. So tonight, I'm going to call up our special guests. And what I would like you all to do that are on now is if you would take the time now so that I do not forget to do my duties, would you please state your name and address for the record and before we all begin speaking? And I'd like to start with Ms. Gwendolyn Bush, please.
Good evening to everyone. Gwendolyn Bush Williams, 19 Artisan Street, New Haven, Connecticut. It is a pleasure to be with you all again. May I ask the host if you could please give me sharing capabilities, please? So this evening I have with me, and they will introduce themselves as they speak, I have two of my managers with me. I have Tommy Beal, who is the coordinator of the Youth at Work program. I have Mr. Ronald Huggins, who is our Youth Service Bureau manager. And I am so pleased he was able to carve out time in his schedule, and that is Assistant Chief Carl Jacobson, who is a great champion, not just of this department, but of our youth. And so I thank him publicly in advance for carving out time to be with me tonight to do this presentation. I apologize. Still at work and everyone at home is trying to get me. So at this time, what I thought, I still don't have the ability yet.
You should. You're a co-host. You should have it. You're a co-host. You should be able to share.
Yeah, it's not letting me share.
Okay. Let's see. We try something.
While we're working on the technical difficulties, with the rest of our special guests, please state your name and addresses for the record. Just go in any order you wish, please.
Good evening, everyone. Ron Huggins, 15 Westerly Road, New Haven.
Carl Jacobson, 1 Union Avenue, New Haven.
Okay. Go ahead, Tom.
Street, New Haven, Connecticut.
All right, let me do this. I'm gonna move the host over to you. Let's see if that works. Just move it
Okay,
back.
thank you. And the reason that I'm asking for this ability to share is that I do have a brief PowerPoint, and I know when a lot of times when I am receiving information, I like to have a visual. I am a visual learner, and so I'm hoping that this will work. Not working. I'm sorry, Mr. Lucas, it is still not giving me the ability. Well, while he is
No,
working.
you got to give me the host back. I don't know why that's not working. You're the host right now, so you should have all the power in the world. You are almighty and all powerful right now.
Yeah.
So give me the host back and let me see if I can figure out another way to do it. Or you can email me that and I can try to share it from here.
Okay, I will do that and then I will begin. It'll probably be easier that way. Alrighty, I am sending it to you, Mr. Lucas, so that we can share this information. Again, thank you to the committee for your patience. I apologize for any inconvenience this is causing you. There's just some data up there that I thought it would be great for you all to see.
That's okay. It's technology. It's a blessing and a curse wrapped up into one.
I know. Yeah, it's like it stinks at this moment. Okay, you know what? I'm just gonna move on with it verbally. If you all don't mind me reading from it while I to give you the information in the prudence of time. So today I wanted to talk to you. There was two topics that they brought to mind that the chair for this committee brought to us, and that is to speak about youth at work as well as our Youth Connect program. Youth Connect program has been very prominent in the community, and so we wanted to take this opportunity in order to speak to these two subjects. So I'm going to bring up Tommy Beal to speak to youth at work while I send this information to Mr. Lucas. And hopefully by the time she finishes with her presentation, we will be able to bring this information up so that you can see the data that is attached to it as well. So again, may I introduce to you Tommy Beal at this time.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you, Gwen, for the introduction. So we are excited to begin Youth at Work. We are looking to start our summer program July 5th. And with that, we are looking to still have a goal of being able to employ between 300 and 500 youth. Those numbers are contingent upon funding, whether we receive additional funding, external funding, or grant dollars, all of which we are seeking. In addition to that, we are also looking to keep some of the programs that we were able to start last year. And so last year we did a program with the ambassadors, and we had ambassadors in every ward, and they were working out of substation. Some were definitely a little more on point than others, but we are looking to work more closely to get that sharpened in regards to being able to identify if this program can exist and how it will look much earlier than we had the opportunity to do so last summer. In addition to that, we would like to be able to keep our communication and our relationship with the Elm City community in regards to being able to place roughly 50 of their residents in our program as well, and keeping our collaboration with Yale New Haven Health, and they typically employ 10 to 15 youth. With that, we also received some grant dollars from Bank of America, which I'm optimistic that we can still do. They do have a primary focus on trying to work with programs that focus on green jobs. And for the years that we did receive funding, we identified Solar Youth as the participants who were funded through those dollars. We do have our applications out. They are online. They come out the first week of January, and the application deadline for this year is actually going to be April 28th, which for those that have supported the program know that that's a little longer than we usually go, but we are doing so because we want to make sure that we are meeting all the program needs. And that is in consideration to us merging with the recreation department and making sure that we're giving enough time for the students that apply specifically to recreation as well as youth at work can get the applications. If there's any trouble with any information, still being able to have time to contact the folks at their schools, their community leaders and supporters to make sure that information reaches them. Sorry to talk so much and drop so much on you, but we are also going to be initiating what's called a Youth at Work Ambassador Program. And we are going to be looking to connect with the principals to see if they can identify young persons in their school to help us push the applications as well as make these young persons knowledgeable of the application process, the deadline, information that's needed, being able to answer some general questions that can basically help us, but at the school level. So that way there's a peer-to-peer relationship and not just a young person trying to reach us in the office or solely going to their guidance counselors, but actually having an ambassador identified in their school that will be able to assist with getting the applications in. In that program, we are looking to start recruiting right away. The information has already gone to the Board of Education, and so we're just looking to kind of get that up and running.
In the presentation, we wanted to, thank you, Tommy. In the presentation, we wanted to give you some statistics of what we did for summer 2021 as we are preparing ourselves for summer 2022. Under the youth component of just youth at work alone, we offered employment. We received 521 applications. We offered employment to 300 plus young people. In our collaborations with different partners, such as the Board of Education and additional hiring through the recreation silo of the Youth and Recreation Department, we were actually able, in collaboration with CAO, as a matter of fact, the LCI Ambassadors Program, we were able to offer employment for the first time in history to every young person that put in an application. That does not denote that they accepted the position, but we were able to offer employment to every single young person that put in a Youth at Work application. In addition to that, we also had to have some pop-up employment events in order to obtain more young people and those between the ages of 16 and 24, and even in some cases, some more seasoned people, so that we were able to meet all of the needs from the different programs that we have going on. As you are aware, you may have heard reported out into some of the other meetings. In summer of 2021, we received $1.5 million under the American Rescue Plan. And under that plan, we were able to actually expand our outdoor adventures. We were able to expand our recreational camps where we offered them for 8 weeks versus 6 weeks. We were able to employ everyone who put in their application. You know, you are more than aware of the summer concert that we did, where we gave out over 8,000 tickets that were free of charge for a hip hop concert at the Westville Music Bowl in the city. We also did neighborhood pop-ups where we went to 8 different neighborhoods from July 1st through August 30th. And on Wednesday was Family Fun Day, where we offered a carnival-like experience for the young people. Thank you, Al. And so I'm going to have you click on slide 3, Al. Thank you. Some of the demographics, if you just wanted to see the ages that we had and the numbers. So we had from age 14 to 21 plus. The majority of our applicants are in between the ranges of 15, 16, and 17. The males and females are almost equal, and we only have one non-reporting. And by ethnicity, the majority of our applicants are African American, but we do have we are able to say that we have all ethnicities and race that are applying and being employed by our program. The one thing that I did not add to this, but every ward is represented in our hiring. So all 30 wards had students that were employed with the Youth at Work program, the umbrella, whether it was the direct original Youth at Work program or one of our expansion programs such as LCI, the Board of Ed Summer Fund, or whether they were working on the recreation side. Moving on, is there any questions before we move on to the next topic? I do want to be considerate of everyone's family time. I know it is in the evening.
I do have one question, Director. Of the 521 apps and 351 students that were hired, do you break it down with how many applications were not completed properly? Or did you guys get the 521 to be complete, full, all inclusive applications?
Yes, that is the only way we accept the application. It has to be completed when it comes into our hands. And that is because of historical experiences, that if we held on to applications and we moved on with the process, we were never able to obtain the information, and then it became a problem. So instead of, we now became proactive instead of reactive. And when you come, if your application is incomplete, we take the time, go over with you what is needed for the complete application, and then you are allowed to bring it in up to the deadline date. So that's why we do encourage. This year, I'm sorry, Tommy, I wasn't paying attention. I was so busy trying to get that information to Al. But at this time, our application actually has been extended to April 28th, which is longer, a whole 30 days, a whole month longer than usual. And so we encourage the young people to come. It came out the first Monday in January. So in 4 months, you have the opportunity to submit a completed application to us. Unfortunately, even after the deadline date, we get asked for many, many, many favors, like just take it, just take the application, but we do not. And the reason we do not take the application after the deadline is, one, we had 500 or 700 or 1,000 young people that were able to make the deadline date accordingly. And then if we accept your application, what is your next assumption? That we are to bypass the 1,000 people who put in the applications correctly to give your person employment opportunity. That is not fair for someone who took their time to do it the right way to be usurped by a favor. So we do not do that. So we encourage you, if you have any constituents, to please, ma'am, please, sir, make sure they get that application in by the 28th, because we want to be fair and equitable to everyone who puts in an application.
Thank you for that information. I love what Ms. Ville said about the ambassadors in the schools, because I think that's a great tool to use. You're using someone that's taking part in the program. They can say, hey, I got this paycheck. It was awesome. It was great. Maybe you want to do it. And that's how they learn responsibility. I'll now like to call on our Vice Chair, President Walker Myers.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I first want to start by saying thank you. To the youth department, I actually participated in a number of different pop-ups. I went to the concert. Like, I did a number of different things that you did last year, and they were well thought out and well planned. So I want to say thank you for that. I have two questions. Can you talk a little bit about the different platforms that you advertise that the applications are actually out on? And then the second thing is, because the ambassador program in the neighborhoods are new, can you talk a little bit about the strengths of the program and the challenges? Thank you.
So I will let Tommy speak to the ambassadors program, as she managed that hands-on during the summer. So we use a traditional platform of having the application made available online through the City of New Haven website. If you go on, we are easily accessible because we are right on that green ribbon, and you can click on the Youth and Recreation Department to access the youth application, as well as if they wish to be a work site. So the RFP for those organizations who wish to host young people during the summer. And then we take I'm not going to say non-traditional, it is now the new traditional methods of going out on social media. I must say that my department rocks in meeting the young people where they are. And so if it's Snapchat, if it is Facebook, if it is Instagram, if it is Twitter, we do all of that to get the information out, as well as we have a constant contact account. We send the information out to all of our previous applicants, because we keep those lists, and we get the information out as well as word of mouth. We put in the mailboxes of every alder every year the applications so that you are aware of what we are doing and that you can get it out to your constituents as well. And now we're going back to having the ambassadors in the schools so that the young people can see their friends and they can help promote and market the applications as well. However, we do not know everything. And if you have a new idea for marketing, we are more than open and willing to accept it as long as it's reasonably budgeted. We are more than happy to open up to any other form of marketing to get out to young people. But we have just found the street team works the best, actually standing out there, handing out the party flyers, those 3x5, 4x6 cards. And as the kids are getting off the bus, or, if we're at a function, they're at a function, we need you to come down and apply. And even though we are close to the public, they can still come down to 165 City Hall. The applications are accessible as well as a drop box outside of our main office door where the young person or a parent, cousin, auntie, fake auntie, whatever you want to be, you can come and pick up an application for the young person and also turn it in, because we understand sometimes it's difficult for a young person to get the application in. So as long as it's completed, even if Alder Smith wants to bring in an application for one of her constituents, we accept the application as long as all the information is there. And so, Tommy, if you could speak to the ambassadors program and the pros and challenges of it, I would appreciate it.
Absolutely. So the ambassadors program was first brought to us by Rebecca Bombero and the deputy CAO. And so the only challenge that we faced initially was signing on to do the ambassador program as the summer had already begun. And with that, I think some of the challenges that we faced was needing to be able to select and hire supervisors and be able to train them before we can actually put the youth in their teams, and then being able to try to train the teams before they were able to go out. I think some of the other challenges with that is making sure that we have, I think the training was well, but I don't think we gave it enough time, but we gave a lot of responsibility to those young supervisors. And for that, I think that if we could identify that program may exist a lot sooner than we did last year, that we will be able to better prepare for what that training looks like, even doing trainings throughout the summer, just to do like a refresher. Also kind of checking in with the young people. We are putting them out there as supervisors. We're having them walk the streets of neighborhoods, all of which they are familiar with in terms of the children because they work in their respective towns. But at the same time, these supervisors were not. They were kind of placed randomly as close as possible, familiar, so to speak, but probably not with the strength that they needed to be able to fully pull that program through the way I think we could do now that we have enough time to identify. If that answers your question.
Yes, thank you. I'm all set, Madam Chair.
Thank you. I'd like to acknowledge our majority leader, Alder Richard Furlow, is in attendance as well tonight. And Alder Honda Smith, you're up.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Ms. Bill. You answered a lot of my questions. And thank you, Vice Chair, for asking those questions because they were right on the line of where I wanted to go. Yes, there was a lot of challenges that have happened, and I'm glad to hear you to say that. What is your plan to restructure that? Because I believe it's a good program, and I found that last year during the summer, it was a clash over in my ward of your kids and the kids that I've worked with of doing the streets because, they're litter poking and we're doing extremely deep cleaning. And it was very confusing with that. So what is the plans now by you going on of structuring it to where there is no clashes or anything that's going to happen within the community? Because I really enjoyed watching the kids. They all did a wonderful job. And I enjoyed watching kids out there working, and they were excited about working, getting a paycheck. And I think it's a great thing. But I think, like you said, there needs to be a little bit more structure that goes along with it. And I wanted to know, how do you plan on going about that so we don't have to go back through these hiccups again?
I think one of the things that I would like to tackle, and Gwen, please forgive me if I'm over speaking, But I think one of the things is first, the program was under the directive of the deputy CAO. So in regards to how it actually rolled out, or what the expectations were of the program, it did not solely fall on us. So I think that if we go back into it, I would like to be able to, one, speak to my director to see if this is something that we would like to partner with again. If we do decide to do that, being able to have a more intricate role in how we actually formulate that training. You mentioned like a clash with your program and the program that was there. So I think identifying whether or not alders already have programs in their wards, or are there other programs that are already in existence that we may be imposing on, and figuring out how we can collaborate with the two, and or look at the scheduling. How can we structure the schedules so that there is no clash? So being able to hear that definitely is something that I think we should and would be able to address moving forward. I think additionally, honestly, the conversations, I think we just have to be a little bit more transparent. We have to be a little bit more forthcoming with our expectations as well. And, you know, for youth at work, there's so many layers that go into the program. And I love being able to employ young people. I love being able to see them in their jobs, but in trying to match my passion for employing young people, it can become a little cumbersome when there's different programs that want to partner and you want to be able to employ all the youth, and then you're realizing that there's just some things that are missing. We were missing a component with that ambassador program, and I think it was us just making me, I'll own this. It was me not giving it more attention than I think it deserved. But if we partner again, that won't happen.
I want to extend, because I created that ambassador program, and I want to extend to the youth department, if the director don't mind. I don't mind helping you and showing you the ins and out, what that program is all about, so that you can be successful, because we are one city, and I want to see us very successful. I want to see the youth successful and not get upset or about the job in which they're doing, because like I said, it's great to see these kids out here working. So I'm going to extend my time to you. It all depends on if you guys want it or not. Thank you, Madam Chair, for the time, and thank you all for your service that you have given to us.
Thank you. Do we have any other questions from committee members? I see no other questions from committee members at this time. Director Bush, did you want to close this part out? Did you want to speak on this part?
Would love to close this part out and bridge to the next one. Before we close it out, thank you to Alder Smith for your offering of help. We always need historical insight so that we can make a program better. To my managers, I have the best managers in the world. They know how to just jump in and do what they need to do and make the program work. And I do want to give them accolades, because we received the approval for the programming so late. It was like we were playing double dutch. And so even though we recognized that we were going to hit some hiccups, I am still very proud of how the program turned out. We know now that we kind of have an understanding, and we are able to debrief and really take the time to have the program in its richness and fullness thereof, that it will be even better this year. So we are going to capture your insight, Alder Smith, so that we can make this the LCI Ambassador Program impeccable for this year. And so moving on, if Mr. Lucas, if you are able to pull my PowerPoint back up, we are now going to move into the section of, we're going to go to, thank you. What is Youth Connect? So Youth Connect has been on the, probably on the, maybe on the forefront, hopefully I'm going to be presumptuous, on the forefront of many of our aldermanic champions of what do we actually do, how do we work, who are we partnering with. And so at this time, I wanted to have the manager of the program, Mr. Ronald Huggins, who is the Youth Service Bureau manager, and he directly manages the Youth Connect program, to speak to our program for this time. And then we will again open floors to any questions. And then I just have one more piece after that, Madam Chair, and then your time is back to you.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Gwen, for that wonderful introduction. So I'm so excited to be able to talk about Youth Connect, formerly known as Youth Stat. Youth Stat started under Mayor Hart, and it was started with the thought of behind every stat, there's a story. Under Gwen's tutelage, we've been able to refocus and rejudge the program to recognize that it's a small amount of young people that are engaged in a large amount of the crime that is occurring throughout our city. And so what we did with this program and with the rejudge was we put a laser-like focus on 100 of our top vulnerable students throughout the city to be able to provide full wraparound services to them. And so in that, what we did was we put our community partners at the table, as well as our city partners. Chief Jacobson has been a champion of this program from its inception. So Chief Jacobson, Juvenile Probation, JRB, Lynn Jihad, CTVIP, we had all of our heavy hitter programs that were engaging these young people come to the table and say, hey, what do we do in order to assist these students? And so with that, out of our department, we birthed out a team of navigators that are assigned to each police district. These navigators have been with us for about a year now. They've assisted us with some of our summer program, as well as some of our outdoor activities, as far as our concert and family fun day. And if you're looking at the screen, this ideally was a template of the type of student that we were looking for, but that has since expanded to include young people who may have been engaged in criminal activities, stealing cars, negligent activities, and people that are on the PD's radar. And so with that, we've been able to expand our Navigator program. And essentially what we do is we work with our community partners. We hold bi-weekly meetings to review and develop what we call success plans. And the success plans pretty much are a set of goals that we set around the young people, around what grades we're going to do in school, or maybe it's addressing a basic need. And so what we've realized, for example, there was a young student who was engaged in robberies. And what we understood when we finally talked to that young person was that they didn't have food at home. And so the items that they were stealing, they were actually going to pawn to be able to get money to be able to help out with their family. And so when the navigator got involved, what we were able to do was find out what the issue was, assist them in filling out a DSS application. And the interim, we were able to provide them some basic needs in order to put food in the home and to be able to sustain and help that family. And as a result, that young person stopped engaging in negative and criminal activities. Youth Connect is broken down into 3 tiers. Mr. Lucas, if you can just go over to the next slide. And when you look at the 3 tiers, what you will see is our tier 1 level is what we call kind of our school support level. So those are students who are engaged in, potentially disrupting a classroom, childlike behavior. And the school level kind of gets engaged in that and addressing those behaviors. Our tier 2 level of Youth Connect are our students who can really use some type of intense service, but they're not necessarily at the point of neighborhood conflict. So they're chronically absent, overage, undercredited, may have engaged in some, fights or some type of trauma in the school level. And so the Board of Ed on their level, they deal with the tier 2 interventions. The tier 3 interventions are our students are court involved. They've been on the police radar, potentially have gang affiliation. And so that's where we put this service on the 100 most at risk on the tier 3. And as a result of that, outside of the 3 tiers that you see on the screen, there's something that we call emergency use stat. And under the emergency use stat, that occurs if there's a major incident. So a brawl at the mall, a homicide, something that requires an all hands on deck approach. And what we do is we call everyone to the table. We freely share information that we know. And so if something happened to Joe Smo was involved in a shooting or got shot, CTVIP will respond to the hospital. So they're engaging it on that level. On the PD side, they're handling it criminally. And on our side, we're looking at, okay, who is Joe Smo connected with? Who's his circle of influence, as well as who would potentially have had issues with this person that maybe we need to get in front of and navigate and be able to mediate a situation and be able to share. Sometimes the role of the navigators is they're sharing messages from the PD, which are more welcome because they have built relationship with those students. So it's like, hey, listen, you're on the PD's radar. They're looking at you. Listen, I need you to engage in this program, do your Youth at Work application. Let's set some goals for us to be able to move forward and essentially help that child to redirect their behavior. And Mr. Lucas, if you can just go down to the next slide as well. And so, again, one more, Mr. Lucas, I discussed that one, my apologies. And so in this slide, when you look at the support services, these are all of the services that are put in place from our community partners as well as our city partners and as well as our navigators. So these...
Excuse me, Ronnie, just for 1 second, before you go into the support services, may I please bring Assistant Chief, Ronnie, you're going to continue, but I wanted to bring Assistant Chief Jacobson up just to speak to in regards to responding in our collaboration and our relationship that we have with several different organizations, but one of our premier and primary partnerships and very valued partnerships is with the New Haven Police Department. And this gentleman right here, I cannot give enough props to for being attentive and open and reachable to us whenever we need to get information from him or to ask for assistance. And so I just wanted to Assistant Chief Jacobson to please speak to his role with our Youth Connect program.
Sure, thank you. Thank you, Alders, for hearing me today with this group. We all know, and we say it all the time in policing, we can't do this stuff alone. And the most important thing in this city is our children and our youth, and we need to keep them safe. And, you know, not too long ago, the police department didn't talk to the youth department. The police department didn't talk to street outreach workers, but now we've built relationships that are embedded. We're part of these meetings. We're not there to arrest people. We're there to help people. And in our collaboration with the youth department, we've been able to talk about, okay, there was a homicide, who's related to the person who was murdered, who's related to possibly the other side of that, that dispute, and who can we go talk to, who can't we go talk to? And a lot of times it's not the police that can talk to people, it's the people with relationships in Youth Connect. And this is proven for us to help stop a beef that started and led to a homicide, or even stop it before it leads to a homicide. And I think it's all based on relationships, right? And it started with me and Ronnie and Kern Carolina and Gwen, and then it spread to other members of the police department. And really the leadership of these groups have taught our other people that work for us that this is the way to stop violence and to keep kids safe. And I can't speak enough about when the second phone call I have after a homicide or a shooting is people in this organization, in the Youth Connect, if it's a younger person, or if it's an older person, it might be the street outreach. It's about all of us working together. If there's no communication, we end up with them going in their direction, we go in our direction, and nothing happens. And, you know, it was a big thing in policing, even for me, for years ago, to actually say, I'm going to trust everybody at the table, right? And this group has proven to us, and I believe we've proven to them, that we can trust each other and we move forward and help reduce violence and keep our kids safe. So I can't talk enough about the relationships, the street outreach workers showing up at the hospitals, calls all day and night long with Ronnie about what's going on in the city and who's at risk and who can you guys go talk to and who should we go talk to. And it just goes on. And we just appreciate this group. You know, if I could give them some of my funding, I would. That's how important it is to me. So I think I covered what I wanted to, but any questions, I'm here, and I'm here for this group, and I'm here for all the groups in the city. We're really starting to see just the collaboration and what can happen with the collaboration.
Thank you, Assistant Chief Jacobson. I would just like to acknowledge Alder Frank Douglas has joined us as well. And you may continue with your presentation.
Thank you, Assistant Chief Jacobson. I greatly appreciate you. And we're going to continue. I promise we don't have much more. I know this is the first time where I'm probably using more than 20 minutes, but if you all could be patient with us, I promise that this information will be very viable to you all when when I'm there asking for stuff. Big smile right now I'm giving you. So Ronnie, if you could continue with the support services.
Thank you, Gwen. Thank you, Chief, for your words as well. And so, to the Chief's point and to Gwen's point, the reason for this collaboration is that we want to work together to essentially limit a duplication of services. And so what this looks like is working with our community partners, working with the group to go to young people right where they are, meet them where they are and say, hey, we want you safe, alive, and out of jail. How can this group work with you? And we used we used the idea from Project Longevity and kind of tweaked it a little bit for our youth, but it's the same messaging. Listen, we want you safe, we want you alive, and we want you out of jail. And so as a result of that, we came up with a list of support services to be able to help to keep young people safe, alive, and out of jail. And what that looks like is peer mentoring. Mentoring that is happening on an intense level with 2 intense mentors that we hire, doing conflict resolution and gang intervention, possibly mediation when possible, working with Clifford Bears and other agencies to be able to provide mental health support, working with our Juvenile Review Board and CTVIP to provide some of that social emotional support, and then working with Tommy under the Youth at Work team to say, listen, can we allocate dollars to make sure that we give these students as well a work-based learning experience that's a little bit different than others to make sure that that environment is safe for them. And so, Mr. Lucas, if you can go to the next slide. Under Gwen's leadership, we've been able to expand the Youth Connect program and expand our Navigator team from the summer pilot program to what we have now, which is a team of 8 navigators, a lead navigator, and 2 intense mentors that are meeting 5 days a week, 19 hours, and sometimes more than that, right? When there's special events or when hot issues pop up, those guys are working around the clock, with us to be able to get in front of these issues. And Mr. Lucas, if you can just go to the last one, which says questions, I believe. So if there's anyone that has any questions or concerns.
It's not questions. Mr. Lucas, can you go to the last screen? I'll pick it up from here, Ronnie. Thank you.
My apologies.
Nope. Number 11, Mr. Lucas. Okay. So you may ask, Ronnie has talked about many of the things that the youth navigators do, Youth Connect navigators, but we do have specific obligations that they are required: assist, monitor, follow up, conduct, track, design, and implement. And so they are assisting with tracking the students' grades and disciplinary records, progress notes. They work with our BOC system to make sure that we have a document. They're monitoring the students they are assigned to track their progress and their needs. And you can read yourself. We're monitoring and tracking attendance in not only regular school, but after school program. If we are investing in them to go to an after school program, we want to make sure that they are actually attending. We are designing and implementing youth activities for them to engage in. For example, we took some youth to the NFL football game. We've gone to the Jets. We will be going to a Brooklyn Nets basketball game. We're trying to give them experiences that's taking them out of the city, and also give them an opportunity to just breathe, relax, and be able to be themselves. And we're assisting with providing the gang intervention as spoken to by Assistant Chief Jacobson and Ronald as well. Now, the one thing that I want you all to take comfort in knowing is that we are just not arbitrarily just doing stuff to be doing stuff. If you decide to ever go on to do and research some empirical research, it is found that every person experiences what we call ACEs, which is adverse childhood experiences. And that impacts a person in each person differently. There's a survey out there, and they have found that if a child has experienced more than 4 adverse childhood experiences, it impacts their life significantly, not just in childhood, but even into adulthood. So having fights or not being able to eat or not having your basic needs provided can impact, for one, your mental health as an adult. It can impact your physical health as an adult. And so what we are trying to do is to address these needs in this Youth Connect program. In addition to that, we also use the interventions under positive youth development. Our ultimate goal is to make our young people citizens so that they can give back, stay in our community, work in our community, invest back into this community, and then give back to a young person who may be experiencing something that they have lived through. And so we are, please take comfort in knowing that we are absolutely looking at empirical research. I keep up on that to make sure that we are following our program and that we are doing what we can. We understand our limitations. And so as I tell the navigators and I tell my employees, they are not LMSW such as I, so we are not out there giving therapy, but we are connecting them to the services that they need and the wraparound services that they need. So I thank you, Ronnie, Tommy, and to Assistant Chief Jacobson for that portion of it. I do just have one more piece for you, Madam Chair. I don't know if you want me to entertain questions now before I move to the last component.
I will, you can move to the last component and then we'll entertain questions.
Okay, so on the next slide, this piece actually was kind of brought, slide 12, thank you. This piece was actually brought to the forefront. I had received an email from Alder Miller in regards to one of the park properties. And so I thought it would just behoove me to bring to the attention of the Youth Commission what we're actually doing. And so the youth, even though we have been split from the parks and trees portion, but we are still over the buildings that are in the parks. And so at this time, the buildings that we have range from 720 Edgewood to Coogan, Salperto, Lighthouse Park, Gulf Street Park, Ralph Walker Ice Skating Rink. Even though it's privatized out, it is still under my purview. Our nature centers, Bernard Nature Center, West Rock, Trowbridge, Edgewood Park Ranger. And then, as you know or may not know, we also have apartments. That was a shocker to me when I came in, but we have apartments at Lighthouse, Egerton, West Rock, and Atwater. So all of these properties, aside from Youth Connect, aside from Youth at Work and Employment and the recreation, we have to maintain these properties. I have to tell you, Alders, at this time, these properties need a lot of work. And so I am receiving an abundant number of calls because there are many people who want West Rock Nature Center. I want to come in, I just want to use it. I just, we can take it over and we are not giving any of our properties away. It is staying under the Youth and Recreation Department. We are willing to work with organizations, but at this time, they are not habitable for youth. For example, one of the premier places is West Rock Nature Center. I just went out and did a tour with the engineer department, and there was a meeting that was held with engineering along with the controller's office, Office of Management and Budget, CAO, where we are actually going through and I am compiling a 5-year plan of the work that needs to be done on the infrastructures on these buildings. And so even though we want to use West Rock Nature Center, a possible guesstimate of work that needs to be done before we can get it up and running is approximately 200 to 300,000. That's just a guess. And that is because there's no HVAC system in the buildings out there. We're having issues with the septic tank. So the septic tank is backing up. It needs to be pumped. So that means the bathrooms have to be adapted for COVID related, and simple things. We need to fix the stalls on the bathrooms out there. We're not able to use one of the cabins that's on the property because it has lead paint in there. And we are suffering many break-ins at our facilities. So we have to keep replenishing a lot of our equipment that is being stolen. Unfortunately, over at Trowbridge, which is out in East Rock, we've had several break-ins. And so I am working diligently with engineering. I am working with all the administration, and they recognize the fact that we want these buildings, but they have to put dollars in for the maintenance to keep them up. So until then, being a mom and also being the director, I will not do anything to, one, put a child in harm or danger. And the second thing is I will not do anything that's going to cause liability to the city. If someone goes on these properties and they get injured, and if there's a small child and lead paint tastes good, and then they get sick, we are going to have a problem. So that is why you are receiving pushback from me when I am saying we're not able to use these facilities at this time. I promise when they are up to code, when everything is done in the facilities, I will make sure you all are the first to know, and that I am open to any organization in coming in and partnering with them so that they can use it. And in some cases, we might be able to turn them around and make them revenue facilities. As you know, there's a rope course at West Rock Nature Center. And if we could get it up and running, we could actually make it a revenue for those who want to have retreats there that are for profit, Fortune 500. We can advertise it that way. There's a lot of things that we can do. But please understand, I am working on finding out everything that is wrong with these buildings and coming up with a 5-year plan with those entities that I have just named, so that we can get our facilities up and running to where there should be. And the final thing is, slide 13, please, Mr. Lucas, is that we still remain, have openings in our department. I know we do phenomenal work and we do the work of 150 people, but this department at full capacity is only 15 persons, including myself. And right now I'm down 3. So that means we are doing all of this work that we did in the summer, and we did it with 12 people who have worked themselves to the bone to make sure that we have been able to provide appropriate services. I am hopefully close to an end with working with human resources, and we are giving out the exams next week and at the end of the month for the park ranger's position and the recreation supervisor, which are general fund positions. And so hopefully at our next meeting, I will be able to give you another update of when the interviews will be, and then the final hiring for those positions to get back up at least to full capacity of what is approved in the budget for this department. And so with that, I am finished. And I am open for any questions. And if I do not have the answer for you, I promise I will have it within 24 to 48 hours if you give me that leverage.
Thank you, Director Bush-Williams. I would like to open it up for questions from committee members, but I would like to start with our questions regarding Youth Connect first. So if anyone has any questions regarding Youth Connect, please raise your hands at this time. Anyone have questions regarding Youth Connect? I would like to call on Vice Chair, Alder Walker-Myers.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Youth Connect is a great program that I got to see from start to finish. And I don't think you guys give yourself enough credit for what you actually do with that program. So can you talk a little bit more about how you don't just deal with the student or the person that might be involved, how you actually try to wrap your hands around the whole entire family?
Ronnie, would you please feel free to answer that?
It's not a problem. Thank you for the question. And so the role of the Navigator, once they do the family assessment, the role is to look at, to your point, you look at how we can assist the family. What are some barriers that the family may be experiencing, and that has a direct impact on that child's behavior. And so maybe it's the child doesn't have a bed, the child doesn't have glasses, so they're acting out in school and doing things to get them kicked out of class. And so once the Navigator goes into the household and they do kind of that family assessment, we are looking to see whether it's basic needs we need to support. Maybe it's we need to support a family with an emergency move because their house just got shot up and it's unsafe for them to live there. And so maybe we need to, move them into a hotel room. So those are some of the things that we are looking at firsthand with the family to be able to support, as well as being able to support the family with therapeutic services. So we lean on our partners at Clifford Beers, and we lean on our partners at CTVIP to say, hey, listen, we're working intensely with this child, but mom may need some mental health support here. Or, hey, the older brother may have some influence on this, or the family might have experienced this trauma. Can your team come in and be able to support us with supporting this family?
Thank you. I just wanted people to get a better understanding of how it actually worked with the department and Assistant Chief Jacobson Doing the small things, right, is really important, just like changing the name of the program from Youth Stat to Youth Connect, because our kids aren't statistics. Those things are really important, and just, giving the couple of dollars that you can afford to give for food to help those families that you do every day, I don't think you talk about enough. Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm all set.
Alder Walker, thank you so very much. Again, I do not use this word loosely because everyone is not a champion of youth. Alder Walker has been there whenever we have asked her to come and support us, or if there's a need, and she has definitely called us when we need. You are absolutely right. I need to give kudos especially to Ronnie and Assistant Chief Jacobson, who may have put themselves in some peculiar situations where they could have been hurt, and they had no fear. They went in and did what they had to do. And so I appreciate them being selfless and making sure that our kids are safe. The most important thing for us with this program, and we have found, is just one, advocacy. Their voice is silent, and there are not many people who are willing to stand up and really kind of push against the engine to advocate for them, and navigating through different systems that are overwhelming to them, such as school. So when the teacher is flunking me out, and the only way I know how to respond is to yell or cuss or flip something over and walk out, you have a navigator or someone like Chief or Ronnie, Kermit, Carolina, and who will go in to speak and advocate on their behalf, because they just don't have the verbiage to express, I need help. And so I do thank them, and you are absolutely right. They do not give themselves enough credit for what they're doing. And, so I'm going to publicly give them that accolade.
Thank you. I would now like to call on Alder Carmen Rodriguez.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and I echo the same sentiments of our President, Taisha Walker-Myers. I have to say that, Ms. Bush, you also need some applause on that, because when I called you on an incident when we had our teenagers on bikes, and a lot of the residents were just calling in, and instead of helping, it was more of a bashing session. The minute I called you, and I know you got the police officers in my ward 6, and Chief Jacobson, you came out, you spoke to the kids, you didn't shy away from the situation, and they felt heard. And so I too want to thank you all for what you did last summer. I'm hoping that if this starts again, we catch it early. I know last year we caught it late because the complaints came in late, but again, applause to each and every one of you as well, Director, because when I called you, you answered that call, and I greatly appreciate you all, and that needed to be said as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Alder Rodriguez. I'd like to call on Alder
Thank you,
Honda
Madam
Smith. You're muted, Alder Smith.
Thank you. Ms. Bush, you said something that tweaked my mind. I'm very vocal on stuff. I just ask you, because West Rock Nature Center is in my ward. If anything goes down, please refer to me first before any others, because I need to have my pulse on it for my community. And that's where I'm going to leave it right there. The pulse on that West Rock Nature Center for my community, and so the city can benefit also. But I want to be on top of it, what goes on. So please keep me abreast. Thank you.
Thank
Yes,
you, Alder
ma'am.
Smith. Are there any more Youth Connect questions or comments? I do have one question about Youth Connect. What is the percentage of participants, male to female ratios? Are you seeing higher numbers of females compared to what was happening previously?
So currently we are experiencing about a 60-40 ratio, where 60% of our participants are males and 40% are females.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
But please know that the young women are chaosing just as much as the men, as the young men, that everything that young men are doing, the young women are doing too. So Chief Jacobson can attest to it. They're out there stealing cars, they're out there shooting, they're doing the same exact thing. And I think they're even more fearless than some of our young men. That's just a personal opinion.
Thank you. Thank you for that data. Because I know things are changing and times are swinging, but we appreciate the work you all are definitely doing on that Youth Connect. And any more questions about Youth Connect before we move on? No? Okay. Now about your parks properties. You were talking about repairs needed, and I noticed Edgerton Park was there. And I know we have the little apartment or gatekeeper's house. Is that part of the structure solely New Haven's responsibility? Because,
yes,
you know, we're on that border, so that part is still solely ours.
So Edgerton, the conservatory still falls underneath us. We do work with their private board of directors, and I have included them in. I have been able to establish a relationship with them. And so in regards to the apartment, for example, the last ranger moved out. We have not put anyone in there at this time because there are some minor repairs that need to be done, such as maybe changing out windows and painting and just zhuzhing up the place, for lack of a better word. But when we decide to take applications for it, they will be a part of the process, because one of the requirements when you're living there is that you do have to assist in taking care of the property. So for example, maintaining the yard of your house, and there are other things. I have the old leasing agreement between the two of us, the city and Edgerton Conservatory, if you would like more detailed information, but that is just an example so that it does still fall underneath us.
Okay, thank you. Are there any other questions about the parks and properties? No other questions from committee members? Okay, if we have no other questions for committee members, I will now like to ask if we have any members of the public wishing to ask questions or speak.
Do not have any, Madam Chair.
We have none? Okay, thank you. So we can close the public portion of this part out. We will now close the public portion. We have no members from the public here. So I would like to thank all of you for showing up, and I'm going to say showing out tonight too, because the information, it was well received, and it was a lot of information, but I think it was great information, because we read about these programs, we do have conversations about these programs, but when you get down to the numbers and the nitty gritty, it shows it all. Also, the way you speak about your programs, I just love the enthusiasm and the dedication that you all have committed to our city, our residents, and especially our youth. So I would just like to thank you all for being here tonight. And as an alder and as a resident, I will do my part to try to help make sure these programs continue to succeed. So I would like to thank you all for being here tonight and for presenting.
Madam Chair, may I just add one more thing? And I'm sorry, I hope it's not inappropriate for me to speak before you close.
There you go. You go.
Thank you. I just want to let everyone know, and you will receive the communication. Last year was and we have premier events that we do with the city. You all are extremely familiar with our trunk or treat, as well as the turkey giveaway and Christmas. But last year was our inaugural Black History Month dinner giveaway. And we will be doing that again this year. Again, after debriefing, we went around to different neighborhoods and we found that that didn't really work too well. So what we decided to do is that we're going to be on the New Haven Green this year. I need Tommy Arani to pop in the date because I can't remember, sorry. We will be out there on the green giving away dinners as well as giving away masks. And we are trying to see if we can get our hands on some kits to be able to give away kits as well. but we will be doing kind of an all-around wraparound out on the green. We will put the information inside your box. We will give it to Mr. Lucas to distribute to the entire board, so that if you are not doing anything and you wish to stop by and see, you know, maybe some of your constituents will be down here getting off the bus, we would love for you. And we just would love to see your face and like kind of talk offline in a really like chill atmosphere versus us always have to be so professional and pick your brain. So please accept this as an invitation for each and every one of you all to come and join us on that date. And the date is
February 23rd from 2 to 5.
Thank you. I'm sorry. It's great to have good managers.
Thank you for that information. Unfortunately, I couldn't get there last year, but I know our vice chair was there and I heard great things about it. So thank you for extending that invitation. And, you know, we will put the word out on the streets. If you have a flyer or anything that we can share, please send it over and we will get it done and we will notify people. So we thank you all for doing that as well. And I'm glad it was successful enough to repeat this year. And people need food, people need meals. And I think it's a great gesture and celebrate Black History Month any way we can. So once again, thank you all for being here. And we're all set. We are good to go with this part of the workshop. And we look forward to getting updates later on. Thank you so much. Go ahead, Alderwoman Myers.
I'm making a motion, we adjourn.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, the motion has been made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I see no abstentions. So we are officially adjourned. And once again, thank everyone for coming out tonight and thank you to the committee members as well.
Thank you.
Have a great evening, everyone.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.